Chapter 1, Friends and Soulmates. When Frisk woke, she found a piece of fresh pie waiting for her. After putting it in her inventory, she explored the rest of Toriel's home, all the while she heard a small weak voice talking to her inside her mind. There was one last door to check in Toriel's home. On it hung a sign, but it was blacked out in shadows. Reaching from the door, Frisk fell into the darkness of the shadows, deeper and deeper, darker, yet darker still. As she fell through the darkness, Frisk frantically called for help, and in that darkness, she found it. A soul much like hers, and a girl that could have been her twin. Reaching out, she called for the girl. The girl looked back in shock and reached her hand as well, taking Frisk's. They introduced themselves to one another. Frisk and Chara, hand in hand, they walked warily through the black mass of shadows until they were attacked. Suddenly, and without warning, an anomaly attacked the pair, trying to rip the two apart from one another. Each of them, fighting for the other, held their hands as tightly as possible, trying to keep the other from being torn away. As suddenly as the anomaly attacked, it stopped. A rumble of magic flew through the darkness, drawing the anomaly's attention, and as quickly as it came, it was gone. The veil of darkness left, leaving Frisk back in the room Toriel had let her sleep in. Looking around, she noticed Chara was gone. She called her name, and Chara answered back from inside Frisk's head. Chara took her time explaining how she died and how she was kind of a ghost or spirit. Frisk seemed to be unfazed though, and was glad she wasn't alone and had someone to help her out. After taking the time to calm down, she once again left the room, this time going back into the living room where Toriel sat reading a book. Toriel, I'm glad to see you're awake, child. Oh, but you still look so exhausted. Did you not sleep well? Frisk, I slept okay. Guess I didn't sleep long enough is all. Frisk said, rubbing the back of her head, not wanted to tell Toriel about the strange attack or Chara. Toriel gave a small sigh and put her book down, picking Frisk up easily and holding her like a small child. Toriel, when my children were younger, I used to hold them like this after a nightmare. I'm not sure what's going on, but I will try my best to help you feel at ease. Frisk was in slight shock. Being an orphan, no one had ever held her like this before. The unusual comfort of Toriel's fur and warmth lulled Frisk to sleep almost instantly. Chara watched her new partner in her ethereal form, slightly jealous, yet also somewhat comforted herself. After about an hour, Frisk gingerly awoke, still in Toriel's arms. Toriel, well then, did you have a nice nap? Frisk blushed brightly, nodding, slightly embarrassed about so easily falling asleep. Sensing her partner's embarrassment, Chara gave a slight but hearty giggle, making Frisk's blush a little darker. Even thought Frisk was now well rested, something was waiting on her mind. Gently sliding off Toriel's lap, she made her way to the hallway mirror. She stared deeply into the mirror, slightly shaking in fear and instantiation. Lightly pressing her hand to the surface, she leaned in. Chara, what are you doing? It's a mirror, it's your reflection. Frisk, slightly ignoring Chara, took a deep breath before slowing, then suddenly opening her eyes. Ting! Both of them, Chara and Frisk, were shocked by what they saw. Frisk's eyes were glowing red, similar to their soul's color. Frisk gave a slight shudder before quickly shutting her eyes. Chara was about to ask her something before Frisk quickly went back to Toriel. She almost tackled the sitting goat dragon lady, leaving her asking what was wrong. Frisk looked up at Toriel, small tears in the corners her eyes. Frisk, what's wrong with me? What happened to my eyes? Toriel, slightly confused, pat the child on her head lightly. Toriel, what do you mean, my child? There is nothing is wrong with you. Frisk shook her head, clenching Toriel's dress tightly before slowly opening her eyes and looking at Toriel. Toriel, a little shocked, kept her composure and gently patted Frisk's head. Toriel, were you perhaps blind before coming here, my child? Frisk nodded, looking a tiny bit confused. Toriel, I'm sure you're wondering how I could have known that. You see, when a blind child is suddenly exposed to large amounts of magic in an extremely short time, their eyes tend to change. Their color changes to that of the person's soul. In your case, you seem to have a very determined soul, so it changed to that deep red. About the glow that happens when a human starts to produce their own magic power, or MP as it used to be called. She gingerly pat Frisk's head, smiling at the still worried child before continuing. Toriel, it seems like by falling down into a place mainly made of magic, you've started to become what some would call a magician. Or at least you have awakened your own magic powers, though using them may take time and training. Frisk looked a lot less worried now, almost excited. Frisk, wait, you can use magic, right? Can you teach me some? That way I can defend myself or heal myself if anyone else tries to attack me like Flowey? Toriel chuckled slightly and stood up, leading Frisk to the kitchen. Toriel, okay, first let's try to see what kind of magic you can use first. Not everyone can use the same kind of magic, and I think I still have one of the old testers. Frisk looked at Toriel, confused once more, asking about the tests. Toriel nodded as she looked through some boxes she had on top of the fridge. Toriel, here they are, she said, pulling out what looked like a voltage meter and an old crystal ball. Frisk was now more confused than ever as Toriel set up the crystal ball, plugging in the strange meter. Toriel, this is what's called an arcane orb. It's an older model that was upgraded with this readout screen. We used to use these in school to test a monster's magical attributes. Frisk looked at the orb, then to Toriel. Frisk, how does it work, and will it work on humans? Toriel nodded, saying it would, but before Frisk could ask how she know, Toriel told her to place her hand on the orb and try to pump magic into it. Not knowing exactly how, Frisk tried her best to do as she was told. The orb did nothing at first, but with a bit of instruction from Toriel, Frisk was able to get it going. The orb lit up with a bright light, mostly white, with a large line of red at the bottom. Toriel waited a few moments until the meter she was holding beeped and told Frisk that was enough, and she did well. After looking through the readouts, Toriel thumbed through a user's manual before saying, interesting. Toriel, it seems that you have the potential to use any and every magical attribute. This is rare. There was only one other person, human or monster, I knew that had this kind of potential. Frisk wanted to ask, but she had a good idea of who Toriel was talking about, and Toriel seemed to be lost in thought at the moment. After a moment or two, Toriel regained her senses and put the things away before sitting down at the table. Toriel, okay then, before I teach you magic, I must ask you to do two things. 1. Never use it to kill, and 2. Only use it in self-defense. Frisk agreed, promising Toriel to do as she had told with a slight slip-up. Frisk, I promise Mom, I'll be a pacifist magician. Toriel gasped lightly, and Frisk quickly tried to apologize, only to be interrupted with a giant hug from Toriel. Chara, still watching, checked around and spotted a calendar. She freaked out a moment when she saw she had been dead over 100 years. Then she wondered what had happened in that 100 years and why Toriel seemed so alone, sad, and depressed, like everything she loved had died. That realization hit her like a truck. Everything Toriel loved had died, even when Chara and Asriel were alive. Her and Askari's marriage was pretty bad. They stayed together cause of them, most likely. If Chara could, she'd have been weeping right now. Then she looked at Frisk. She was glad someone could make her mom genuinely smile again. Then she saw them, Frisk's memories, a cold, broken orphanage, barely any food, no running water, and no one wanting her because of their blindness. Now she saw Frisk in the present, happy, warm, loved, and crying tears of joy as Toriel held them close. Dead or not, it was enough to warm Chara's heart. Thump, thump. Chara heard a strange voice in her head. Confused, she looked around. She floated around Toriel's home, stopping as she pasted by the mirror. She was surprised she saw her reflection, but beyond that she saw something behind her. A black mask similar to the one before, but different. She blocked herself as it leapt forward, but nothing happened. Like before, it left as soon as it came, like a moth to a flame, it ran off somewhere else. Chara was left wondering what happened, not noticing the tiny white anomalous particles that were being drawn to her. Chapter 2, Magic School is in session. After getting a good night's sleep with Toriel, Frisk was ready to start her magic training. Toriel, taking her by the hand, lead her to the old Royal Guard training grounds full of old, unused, and partially broke equipment. Toriel, all right my child, today I will be teaching you the basics of magic. Do not be afraid, I will not hurt you. Frisk gave Toriel a big thumbs up as she explained the fundamentals of magic. Much exposition later, and Toriel was ready to begin her lesson. First things were a bit of physical workout: running, jumping jacks, sit-ups, and swimming. After that, Toriel had Frisk meditate for an hour, which ended with her falling asleep sitting up, twice. This kind of training went on for a few days before Toriel thought Frisk was ready to try making some magic fire. Frisk, excited to try magic for the first time, was visibly shaking with joy, giggling slightly like a child with a new toy. After Toriel set everything up, she stood back and told Frisk to go for it. Frisk, excited, tried to make her first fireball, trying for a small one at first, with no success. Again and again she tried, her power flowing inside but not coming to the surface. She could feel her magic flowing like water but couldn't get it to flow outwards. After many minutes of trying, Frisk was frustrated but not willing to quit. Then Toriel told her to try it with her eyes open. Confused but willing to try, Frisk opened her eyes, the red glow brighter than before. Again she tried. This time her eyes glowed brightly, the red light shining off the nearby wall as she summoned a small red-orange flame from her hands. Toriel clapped as Frisk's flame went out, leaving her visibly tired. Toriel, you did great, my child. I am surprised at how quickly you are learning. Frisk, Mom, thank you for teaching me. Frisk said, huffing and puffing lightly. Toriel hugged the child tightly. Toriel, do not thank me. It's a mother's duty to teach, is it not? Also, don't worry about the fatigue. Once you learn to control your magic better, you won't get as tired from using it. Frisk simply nodded in Toriel's arms as she drifted to sleep, Toriel picking her up and carrying her back home. This continued for about a week. Learning control was slow going, though with Chara's help and memories Frisk was able to learn it quickly. They had come to release that sharing a combined soul meant a number of things. 1. They could share memories, though this act was mostly involuntary. 2. Frisk's HP grew to 40 instead of the usual 20. 3. Frisk's naturally high affinity for magic was enhanced greatly. Finally, Frisk's natural talent for magic was also greatly enhanced. This would help in her training, though there was another reason for Frisk's natural skills. 3 of her ancestors were mages. Toriel was surprised at the child's quick learning and wondered if they had any contact with magic before. 2 weeks after Frisk had fallen into the underground, she was ready to press onward to free not only her new mother but the rest of monsterkind. Toriel was reluctant to let Frisk go, even trying to force her to stay, but with Frisk's talent with magic she could block and dodge with ease. Though she couldn't beat Toriel after a short firefight with magic flames, Frisk had an idea. Toriel could come with her for protection, and so neither one would be lonely. Toriel was shocked by the idea. No child had even wanted her to come with them before after falling to the underground. For some reason this idea felt off, but it also felt like it was the right thing to do, no, the best thing to do. With a smile, Frisk took Toriel's hand and they walked through the large door. Flowey, seeing them both, popped up in front of them. Flowey, golly, what is this? You two aren't going together, are you? That doesn't seem right. Toriel, you are that talking flower from before, are you not? What are you doing here? Flowey, that's right, I'm Flowey the flower, and you're supposed to stay in the ruins, aren't you? Toriel, what do you mean? I can go wherever I please. Frisk, something isn't right here. Flowey, are you stalking us? Flowey, what? No, I'm not stalking you both, just you. With that, Flowey stretched out a vine pointing at Frisk, who hid behind Toriel. After that, Flowey left, laughing that he would be watching. Meanwhile, Sans was taking a nap in a tree, needing a break from caring for the still comatose Dee. As Sans slept, he was woken by the sound of the door to the ruins opening. Frisk was the first to come out from the ruins. As Sans watched, he nearly fell from the tree in shock. Toriel came out right behind Frisk, grabbing her hand as they walked. Sans, in awe of the situation, did his usual shtick, breaking a brunch and meeting them at the gate, but with a slight twist. Sans, well, hello there. Don't you know how to meet a new friend? Turn around and shake my hand. Toriel and Frisk turned to see the short skeleton holding out both hands. They both shook one, Frisk doing so rather nervously, before the giant sound of 2 mini whoopee cushions echoed through the wooded area. Afterward, Frisk starting laughing as Toriel blushed lightly. Sans, the old whoopee cushion in the hand trick. It's better with 2 people, you're a human, right? That's hilarious. Hi, I'm Sans the skeleton. After Frisk had stopped laughing, she introduced herself. Frisk, hi Sans, I'm Frisk, and this is... Sans, I know who she is. Who knew the caretaker of the ruins was Queen Toriel? Toriel, I am no longer queen, I left that title behind long ago. Sans shrugged lightly, giving Toriel a slight look. Sans, well, in any case, go ahead and walk through that gate. My bro made it too wide to really stop anyone. Though for some reason it always seems to. Sans said with a slight laugh and a shrug. As they walked into the room housing Sans' post, Papyrus came busting in with his usual energy, causing Frisk to hide behind Toriel. Papyrus, seemingly unaware anyone else was there, began to half yell at Sans. Papyrus, Sans. Where were you? I was looking everywhere, I couldn't even find you at Grillby's this time. Sans, you sorry bro, you know how I pine for the great outdoors sometimes. Papyrus, ugh. No pun, Sans, this is serious. You haven't even checked your puzzles. We still need to watch for humans and the... Sans, I feel like we've been here before. Have we been here before? At that point, Papyrus was stomping his foot. Papyrus, why must you joke instead of doing your work, Sans? Sans, oh my god, this is happening again. Suddenly Papyrus just stopped talking. Sans, confused, asked him if everything was okay. Papyrus, yes brother, everything is fine. With that, Papyrus left a bewildered Sans alone with Frisk and Toriel. Toriel, Sans, is everything okay? Your brother seemed a little down. Sans, yeah, he's fine, probably just. He's fine. Anyway, can you two do me a favor? Toriel, can you come with me to my house and take care of Dee for me while the kid here helps me cheer up Paps? Toriel was shocked at Sans' request, but agreed to Sans. Great, okay kid, you go down the path and I'll take Toriel back to my house and meet you there. Confused by this, Frisk walked down the path, leaving Toriel behind. As Frisk walked past Sans' post, she was greeted with a save point. After saving, she walked down the path, first up to the river, then back down after not calling the monster. When Frisk walked into the next room, she was greeted to the sight of Sans and Papyrus, much to her surprise. Sans, you sure you're okay, bro? Papyrus, I am sure, brother. Now, as I was saying about Undyne. Before Papyrus could finish his sentence, he stopped and looked at Frisk. After staring at Frisk for a second, he looked but to Sans, then before to Frisk, while Sans did similar, looking to Paps, then Frisk. This repeated, either skeleton seeing the other look at the other as it sped up. Before long, the both started spinning around quickly, then stopped suddenly. Papyrus, oh my god. Sans, is that a human? Sans, I think that's a rock, Sans said, pointing at the rock behind Frisk. Papyrus, oh. Sans, but what's that in front of the rock? Sans said, pointing at Frisk. Papyrus, oh my god. Is that a human? Sans, yup. Papyrus's eyes lit up in excitement as he started speaking in slight gibberish like a child on Christmas who had just got the one present he wanted the most. Papyrus, human, I the great Papyrus challenge you to a deadly assortment of puzzles and japes. Follow if you dare. With that, Papyrus rushed off, leaving Frisk and Sans alone. Sans, wow, he looks happy. Thanks for this, kid, I owe you one. With that, Sans also left, leaving Frisk alone once more. Frisk, still a bit confused, though glad she made someone feel better, moves forward into the next room. Walking into the room, they see a wooden sign that reads "Don't move." Once more confused, she steps past the sign, seeing another post similar to Sans, but fancier. Trying to walk past it, she is stopped by a guard dog named Doggo, asking if something was moving. Once more, Frisk found themselves in a battle box with blue swords flying everywhere. Before she could move, Chara told her to stay still, halting her movements as the sword passed through her harmlessly. Relieved, Frisk does the only thing she could think of and pet Doggo, sending him into an excited frenzy. After freaking out about being pet by an unseen thing, Doggo laid down in his station, saying he needed some dog treats. Once the battle was over, Frisk silently walked to the next area of the underground. As Frisk entered the next room, she was greeted by Sans in front of an ice-covered field. Sans, hey, here's something important to remember, my bro has a very special attack. If you see a blue attack, don't move and it won't hurt you. Here's an easy way to keep that in mind. Imagine a stop sign. When you see one, you stop, right? So imagine a blue stop sign, easy, right? When fighting, think about blue stop signs. After Sans' tip, Frisk stepped out onto the ice and slid to the sign, gripping it for balance before reading it. Sign, north, ice, south, ice, west, ice, east, snowed in town, and ice. Regaining her balance, she stepped to go east, but ended up falling and going north instead. Rubbing her sore bottom, she walked up the path to see if there was a way around the icy field. Entering the room up from the path, she found herself staring at a snowman on a cliff. Snowman, hello, I'm a snowman, I want to see the world, but I cannot move. If you would be so kind, dear traveler, please. Take a piece of me and take it far away. Please? Frisk, unsure, took the snowman piece, putting it in her inventory. The snowman thanked her as she went back to the icy field. After sliding to the right side of the field this time, Frisk calmed herself and walked into the next area of the underground to find the skeleton brothers. Papyrus, you are so lazy sometimes, brother. You were napping all night. Sans, have another nightmare, bro? Papyrus, maybe. Oh ho, the human arrives. In order to stop you, I and my brother have made some puzzles. This one you will find quite shocking, as it is an invisible electric maze. If you touch the walls of the maze, you will get a small zap. Fear not, human, as it shan't harm you that much. Sans, the puzzle used to have an orb with it, but we lost it. Papyrus, by we do you mean you, brother? Sans, yep, anyway, like I was saying. It used to have an orb with it, but we lost it, so Paps modified it to work without it. So the puzzle is harder now. Frisk, that doesn't seem safe. What if someone walks onto it by accident? Papyrus and Sans were in shock, not at hearing Frisk talk for the first time, but because of Papyrus, Sans. The human. Sans, yeah, Paps, I hear it too. They sound exactly like D. Well, when they're a girl. Papyrus, oh, you noticed that also, brother. You are sharper than you let on. Frisk, Skeel brothers? Frisk's small pun made Sans giggle, bringing the conversation back to Frisk. Sans, nice one anyway to answer your question. There's an off switch over on this side, so it's turned off most the time. Frisk, smart. After that, Frisk readied herself and carefully made her way through the maze. Only getting zapped 3 times to everyone's surprise. Papyrus, incredible. You slippery snail. You solved it so easily. Too easily, however. The next puzzle will not be so easy. It was designed by my brother, Sans. You will surely be confounded, nye he 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 he. With that, Papyrus left to the next room after turning off the puzzle, sliding backward with seemingly no movement. Sans, hey kid, thanks for this. My bro seems like he's having fun. Frisk, no problem. I guess. By the way, who's D? You've mentioned them before, and what did you mean I sounded like then when they're a girl? Sans, oh that, well D is another skeleton there. Kinda sick right now. To be honest, they're in a coma. We don't really know when or if they'll wake up right now. Sans said, clenching his fist tightly enough to make his bony fingers pop lightly. Frisk, I'm so sorry. Sans looked up at Frisk, whom had tears of genuine concern in their eyes. Sans, hey, it's okay kid, they'll be fine. By the way, they seem to be around your age. I'm guessing you're around 11 to 13, right? Frisk, yeah, I'm 11 and a half. Sans, thought so anyway, thanks for helping me out, my bro seems to be having fun. By the way, you seen that outfit he's wearing? We made that a bit ago for a custom party, since then he hasn't taken it off. He calls it his battle body. Isn't my bro the coolest? Frisk gave a small nod and walked off to the next room of the underground. As Frisk entered the next area, she saw a tall rabbit-like monster complaining about sales. Nice cream guy. Oh hey kid, you want an ice cream? It's a cold treat that'll warm your heart. Frisk nodded and bought 2 ice cream before moving on. As she walked forward, she noticed a ball on the ground. Looking around, she saw a hole in the ground. Taking aim, she kicked the ball. It rolled forward into the hole, raising a red flag and getting her 50G as a reward. Chara clapped inside Frisk's head. Chara, nice going, that's a good reward. Frisk gave a small victory fist bump before walking into the next room. Papyrus, human. I hope you are ready for. Sans? Where is the puzzle? Sans, right there on the ground, trust me. There's no way they'll get past this one. Confused, Frisk walked over to the piece of paper on the ground and picked it up to find a word search. Scanning over it, she noticed most of the words easy except one. Looking it over for the next 30 minutes, determined to find the last word. Papyrus, Sans, I think you broke the human. Sans, yeah, I guess I shouldn't have gave him an unsolvable puzzle. Papyrus, Sans. That's cheating. Frisk looked up grinning and handed the crossword to Sans. Sans looked down and smiled, seeing the creative way they solved it. Sans, oh my god. Nice going kid. Papyrus, Sans, no cheating next time. Sans, yeah, next time I'll use the crossword. Papyrus, what, the crossword? Really, in my opinion, the junior jumble is way harder. Sans, what, no way, those are for baby bones. Hey kid, which is harder, jumble or crossword? Frisk, I'd have to say crossword. Papyrus, you two are weird, those are easy, just put ZZZ for everything, cause when I do one it's a snore. Nye he. With that, Papyrus left and Frisk looked over at Sans. Giving a shrug, Sans spoke up. Sans, Pap finds difficulty in interesting places. Yesterday he got stumped trying to solve his horoscope. Frisk gave a small giggle as she left, continuing forward. Moving forward, she saw a plate of spaghetti and a save point. After saving, she noticed a note. After reading it, she checked the spaghetti. Chara, it's a plate of frozen spaghetti, it's so cold it frozen to the table. Frisk, should we try it? Chara shook her head and they left to the next area. Moving forward, Frisk was approached by the lesser dog. After petting it a little, it ran off happily. Walking forward a bit more, Frisk noticed a switch on the ground. Flipping it before she headed down the other path and continuing forward. Before she could enter the next room, she got stopped by two dogs. Dogs, what's that smell? Where's that smell? You're a smell. Identify your smell. Before she could react, a battle box appeared around them. The two dogs sniffed the air a bit before swinging their battle axes at Frisk. Dodging quickly, she easily moved out of the way. Backing up to dodge, Frisk fell on a piece of ice and ended up rolling in the mud and snow. Dogs, what it smells like. A little puppy. Frisk thinking, quick, pet the dogs. Well, though she was a puppy. Dogs can pet other dogs? Our world views have expanded. After thanking Frisk, the dogs left, petting each other playfully. After moving forward, Frisk found another puzzle, a simple puzzle more like a tutorial than anything else. As Frisk moved forward, meeting back up with Papyrus, Chara was hit with a vivid vision. Two twin angels, one with wings of black and other of pure white. The black-winged angel was crying heavily and the white-winged angel went over, hugging her tightly. As their feathers scattered around, the black feathers slowly turned white as the vision passed. When Chara awoke, she was laying in the snow, Frisk looking down at her. Looking around, she noticed they were in a room with a massive ice puzzle. Chara, what happened? Frisk, I don't know, but I can see you now even though you're transparent. Chara, can anyone else see me? Frisk shook her head, saying she didn't think so. If so, they didn't say anything. Meanwhile, at the bridge to Snowdin Town, the skeleton brothers sat and waited for Frisk to show up. Papyrus, what do you think is taking the humans so long? Sans, don't know bro, but that ice puzzle was pretty slick, maybe they got stuck on it. Papyrus gave a small groan as they noticed Frisk headed their way. Sans, hey kid, what took so long? You slip up on the ice puzzle. Papyrus, brother please. Frisk, yeah I did. I slipped up and down, kept falling off the platform and always went too far. After then Frisk went into a very long explanation. Papyrus, Sans. You broke the human again, Sans. Sans, geez, didn't think my jokes were that bad. While Frisk finished her story in the Skeel Brothers' house, Toriel was taking care of the still comatose Dee. Watching over the tiny unconscious skeleton hurt her heart quite a bit, but it was something she wanted to do. With nothing much to really do, Toriel began thinking back to her earlier conversation with Sans. Sans, now the most important thing is to keep that mask on Dee at all times. Toriel, why is that, Sans? Sans, Dee has some very strong, very unstable magic. That mask seems to be some kind of seal or control device. Take it off and his magic runs wild. We learned that the hard way. Before Toriel could finish thinking, she felt a small rumble of unknown magic. Rushing back to Dee's side, she was shocked to find herself in a room covered in darkness. It was as if the very shadows themselves wanted to take the young skeleton from her. Unable to see even with the help of her fire magic, Toriel felt her way to the bedside, stopping when confronted with an unusual sight. The shadows were morphed into a weird amalgam of monsters, no demonic shapes, drawn in by the unusual magic rumbling she had felt coming from the room whilst downstairs. Trying to reason with the weird shadow creature had no effect. It was as if it didn't know she was there. Suddenly, without warning, it attacked Dee with unmistakable killing intent and malice. Rushing to stop it, Toriel tripped over an unseen object, skinning her knee on the rug, engulfed in shadow. Before Toriel could react to the creature's sickle-like claw ramming into Dee's chest, the creature let out a small yell, loud yet silent. Toriel watched in shock and fear as the creature began to turn into blackened ash, laughing in the same loud and unheard tone. Two words stuck in Toriel's mind as the shadows vanished, finally free. After healing herself, Toriel walks over to Dee, checking him over with a motherly fervor. Though no physical injuries were noted, Toriel rushed to her phone. Meanwhile, back on the bridge, Papyrus had just put away his last puzzle and was allowing Frisk to pass forward. Suddenly Sans got a phone call, and before anyone knew it, he was gone, leaving Frisk there, giving Papyrus a worried look. Papyrus, well then. No worries, human, I am sure everything is fine. Why don't I show you around the town for a bit, then we will meet up with everyone at my house later. Frisk nodded and moved towards town, Papyrus taking hold of her hand in a sign of comfort as he could see her worry. Chapter 3, More changes. As Papyrus gave Frisk a tour of Snowdin, Undine gave her report to Askari. Askari, so nothing else to report then? Undine, unfortunately no, there's been no signs of humans yet. Askari, and of that monster that fell down? Undine, I'm not sure, last I checked they were still unconscious. After the Askari thanked her and she left the throne room, leaving him thinking to himself. Unknown to the both of them, a strange anomaly was about to take place. With a rumble of magic so slight no one could feel it, it began. As Askari slumped down in his throne, he noticed the room had gotten unusually dark. The small golden flowers that adorned the floor were almost unable to be seen as the shroud of darkness swept over them. As the anomaly grew, the darkness itself began to wash over the floor like black water that began flooding the throne room. Askari, now taken aback by the unusual darkness surrounding him, was shocked as the strange substance stopped just before his feet, leaving him in a sea of dark black waters. Like before, the ink-like darkness started taking shape into that of a human, only this time of many children. Askari, what is this? Who are you? The forms didn't speak, didn't move, only watched, almost waiting. As Askari stared down the many forms, he noticed they looked like silhouette of the fallen children that came before. Askari looked on for some time before throwing his trident, telling them to leave him. As his weapon fluid hit one of the silhouettes, piercing it, before it vanished, eaten by the shadows. Soon after, the shadows began to whisper, first unintelligible murmurs, but soon they formed whispers of Askari's sins. Unable to escape his throne room, Askari was forced to hear his sins over and over. Soon he became a weeping mess, forced to hear his crimes from the silhouettes of the victims. As he began to apologize for his past actions, suddenly the whispers stopped. Confused, Askari stood once more to see the silhouettes were no longer looking at him, but towards the deeper parts of the underground he called home. Askari, where are you looking? What's out there? The shadows looked back and for once actually spoke. The silhouettes, freedom, destruction, hope, freedom. Not even a moment later the silhouettes vanished, the darkness vanished once more, drawn like the moth to flames to whereabouts unknown. As the light returned to the throne room, Askari was faced with not only his sins, but the knowledge there was still hope. He was saddened, relieved, and heartbroken. So much so he didn't notice the white glittering light of another anomaly as it pasted through his throne room into a deeper part of the castle. As Askari recovered from his ordeal, Undine was making her rounds through the castle, trying to take her mind off of Ever the Protector. She noticed something amiss as a shining figure of a small child ran past the courtyards. Hurrying to the courtyard outside, she lost the figure, unsure of if she truly saw anything. Looking around, she noticed nothing and headed back to her rounds. Gaster, another rift is opening. I should go patch it quickly before it grows. As Gaster made his way to the rift, he noticed something was amiss. Looking around the void, he noticed the grey door wasn't alone, but 3 more was near it. A white door, black door, and a wood door? Leaving them be for now, he rushed to the rift. Gaster, for now, let's get this fixed up. We can't have the nothingness leak into the void, can we? Before he could start his repair, he heard a cry for help coming from the rift. Wait! Help me, please! Gaster, what? A green glowing girl? What trickery is this? Please don't close the hole yet, I beg you. Gaster, shocked at this, was unable to close the hole before the glowing girl got through closing it right after. Gaster, damn it, I couldn't close it in time. Who are you? Wait, you are going to leave me trapped? Gaster, I've no idea if you're dangerous to my universe, thus I can't take chances. Now who are you? The girl looked hurt at his statement. She hated to even hurt bugs, let alone anything else. My name is Juna. Gaster, Juna? That's a human name if I am not mistaken. Well then, my name is W.D. Gaster, Dr. W.D. Gaster. As Gaster introduced himself, he was secretly using magic to check on Juna's status. Finding nothing dangerous about her conduction, he began to question her. Gaster, so you say there are more of you in the nothingness? More lost souls, how many? Juna, a lot, I don't know the real number, all seemingly died the same way, but differently. Gaster, a cross-dimensional crux? Like a dimensional intersection. Juna, you lost me, Doc, explain it for me please? Gaster chuckled a little and nodded. Gaster, think of the universe like a high-rise, each floor a different dimension that on the whole with its walls make a building. Now imagine the cross-dimensional pathway like a road near the building. Every so often there's an accident on the road. Those are the anomalies, and the road the building it's on is a 10-line intersection that's frozen over. Juna, so the anomalies are what? Trapped souls trying to get out of their cars after what, a major traffic accident? Gaster, yes exactly, now the question is what caused it? As Gaster began creating theories, Juna noticed her hands flicking in and out like a glitching TV. Juna, Gaster, what's happening? Looking up, Gaster saw Juna beginning to fade out, glitching more and more. Startled and confused, he rushed over to try and help, just missing her hand as she faded out, completely vanishing from the void. Gaster wailed out as they had become fast friends, leaving him punching the floor of the void in frustration. Gaster, damn it, damn it, damn it. I should have faster, I should have saved her. It's not fair. Suddenly Gaster felt a surge of magic that lit up the void in a bright, brilliant white light. He had no choice but to block the light with his hands. Gaster, what is this? D's magic? Is it running wild, thr? No, it's not running wild at all. What is this? What's going on? As the light vanished, leaving the void as it once was, Gaster rushed through the grey door, back to the underground in his ethereal form. Juna, Gaster, help? Ha, Gaster, where are you? Why is it so dark? Where am I? Smack. Juna, ow, my head. What is this? Stone? Juna grunted heavily as she tried to push the stone off from above her. After what felt like forever, the stone finally began to move, sliding off to the side with a small thud. As she sat up, she noticed something unsettling. A row of stone coffins lined the floor of the room. And she was in one of them. Looking around, she noticed a door before carefully climbing out of the coffin. Juna, okay, first things first, I need to get out of here and find Gaster. As she carefully walked out the door, she came to a large flight of stairs. Moving quickly yet cautiously, she made her way up and out of the castle, avoiding the guards. As Juna made her way out of the castle, she found herself lost in new home. Juna, am I in the ruins? Why is everything so gray? After wandering aimlessly, Juna finally calmed down enough to notice her weird attire. Juna, what is this? Why am I wrapped in bandages, and what's with this gown? I need to find proper clothing soon. As she began to pull the bandages off, she noticed her lack of skin and began screaming and freaking out. Undine, who was on her way back to Waterfall, heard the cries and decided to investigate. As Juna continued to flip out, Undine came up behind her, grabbing her shoulder. Undine, hey, you okay? What the? When Juna turned around to see who had a hold of her, she saw Undine looking down at her. Juna, freaky fish lady. Undine, wow kid, calm down. How'd you get here? I haven't heard any thing about. Wait. Undine paused, thinking about earlier. Sans, according to the lady in the ruins, the kid was at one time a human. Undine, hey kid. Shot in the dark, but were you a human? Juna stared at Undine in disbelief and simply nodded. Undine simply took Juna's hand and calmly led her out of new home to the river person's boat in Hotland. Undine, sorry if I was a bit forceful, kid. By the way, I'm Undine. What's your name? Juna, I'm Juna. Sorry to ask, but where are we going? I need to look for my friend. Undine, we're going to Snowdin. I have some friends that may be able to help you. Also, your friend got a name? Juna, yeah, it's Gaster. You know him? Undine, never heard of M. Don't worry though, we'll find M. Before they got to Snowdin, Undine had them stop at her house. Undine, home sweet home. Now then, wait here. With that, Undine went to the back, leaving Juna alone for a moment. Juna, why are we here? Undine, just a sec kid, gimme a moment. As she waited, Juna could hear Undine rummaging through stuff in her room and muttering lightly. Undine, found it. Not a moment later, Undine came out of her room holding a box. Undine, here kid, pick out an outfit from my old childhood clothes. I don't need 'em right now anyway, and we can't have you walking around in rags and bandages. Juna took her time looking through the old clothes. Though they were old, they were in good condition, though the style was a bit dated. After a few moments, she got an outfit thrown together. Undine, not bad kid, now then let's get going to Snowdin. Juna, happy to be wearing proper clothing, didn't hesitate to follow Undine back to the river person and straight to Snowdin. Juna, wow, it's been a while. This was about as far as I got. B.4 Undyne, hey, don't worry kid, you're a skeleton now, no one's going to attack you. Though she was a bit unsure, Juna followed Undyne straight to the skeleton brothers' house. Upon entering, the two of them were both in for a great shock. Undyne, hey Sansui. Queen Toriel? Juna, Miss Toriel? The others jumped at Undyne's yelling as Sans moved to shush her. Looking around, Undyne was in for another shock. Undyne, HMMNN? Sans, Undyne shush, you're going to wake Papyrus and Alphys. Looking back at the couch, she saw the two napping, Papyrus holding the TV remote. After calming down, Undyne was able to speak quieter. Undyne, why is there a who? No better question, why is the queen here? Toriel, sorry, but I am not the queen any longer. I left that title when I left Ascari. Sans, even better question. Who's the kid, and where do you find another skeleton? Undyne, yeah, about that. Later, after the others had woken up, Undyne and Juna told everyone the story, leaving everyone in shock. Toriel was actually crying as she held Juna close, apologizing for letting her leave, letting her die. Juna, it's okay Miss Toriel, I'm not dead, right? Frisk, okay, so you died, were lost in a realm of nothingness, met a blob skeleton monster, and somehow came back to life as a skeleton monster yourself? And here, I thought me gaining the ability to see was the most amazing thing I'd have happen. Juna, yeah, I know, right? I was blind in my left eye myself, she said, her left eye flaring up in a green flame of magic for a second. Sans, be that as it may. We still don't know how you came back to life, or anything about this Dr. Gaster. Though he does sound familiar for some reason. Papyrus, same here, thought I can't put my finger on it. Though on the bright side, brother. We're not the last skeletons anymore. Sans flinched a bit at Papyrus's statement. Sans, what do you mean, Paps? Papyrus, Sans. I'm not stupid. I know about the war, and I know that skeletons were almost entirely pushed to extinction. Sans, how did you? Papyrus looked at his brother, and Sans knew he couldn't hide everything from Papyrus anymore. Chapter 4, Trails and Travels. D had found themselves falling from the sky in what he thought was his city. Thinking quickly, they used their wires to swing to safety, but something was off. The buildings seemed to be in the wrong places, almost like looking at them through a mirror. The sun seemed off as well, shedding an almost gray light, making it seem duller, like a cloudy day. To make it weirder, they were still a skeleton. As D made their way to their apartment building, they were shocked to see it replaced with a standing wooden door. D, okay, so what's this? Where's my apartment, or better yet, where's the building? Walking around the door, they didn't notice anything out of the ordinary with it. That is until they opened it. Walking through it, they found themselves in a small field in the middle of the woods. As they stepped into the field, the woods slammed behind them. Turning quickly, they noticed the wooden door was gone, replaced with steel double doors on an old, seemingly forgotten bunker. Wow, it looks like one of those old war bunkers from the documentaries. I wonder what's in it. Trying the door, they found it locked, but they could hear some strange noises behind it. Okay, not going in there for a bit probably. Now the question is, where the hell am I? Looking around, D noticed a small path walking up it. It led to a small town. Walking into the town, D looked around intently at the scenery, their eyes flaring up subconsciously. Is that a church? Wait, is that a monster in front of it? Seeing the monster kind of calmed D down a bit as he walked over. Excuse me, sir? Where am I? Hello young skeleton. Aren't you a rare sight? How may I, Father Alvin, help you? Right, like I said, I don't know where I am. What is this place? Father Alvin, this is hometown, it's a nice little town. Okay. Thank you very much. With that, D left, walking deeper into town, subconsciously relieved to be walking away from the church. For some reason, the town felt all too familiar to them, yet completely unknown. As D walked towards the center of town, they were surprised at the sudden appearance of two people bumping into him, knocking him to the ground with an oof. Though the hit wasn't too hard, it knocked loose their mask, making it fall around their neck. Hey, watch it, yo. Jeez. Those are some nasty scars. D, quickly readjusting their mask, jumped up and dusted themselves off. I've heard that before. Who are you? A dinosaur. Looking up at the large purple figure, they seemed a bit annoyed at their comment. Gur, watch it, bone bag the name Susie. D, that is one of the most adorable names I've heard yet. Hi, my name is W.D. Castor, but my friends call me D, feel free to call me that as well. Susie, Chris, this guy, or girl? Seem weird to you? Chris. Chris simply stayed silent before giving a small shrug. Susie, hey question kid. No offense, but are you a boy or a girl? D, yes. Susie. What? D, I'm both, my gender changes with how I'm feeling. You can easily tell by my voice usually, like right now it's higher and girly, 'cause I'm a girl. Susie, and my name did that? D, well after all I've been though lately, that cute name made me really happy, well I guess more relaxed than happy. I know that's a bit weird, a name making you happy and relaxed. Chris, it's cool, heard weirder. Susie, what do you mean all you've been through? D, you probably wouldn't believe me if I told you. Susie, try me, heiress. D, okay, but I warned you. After D got through explaining everything, Susie and Chris were left in shock, but they did believe them after their adventure. As they walked and talked, they unknowingly made their way in front of an all-too-familiar figure. Hey, look who's out and about with Friday. Wait, what the? Chris, you okay? Look like you've seen a ghost or something. D, or a nightmare. Nice sign, by the way. Guessing you're Sans, right? D said, giving Sans one of his own knowing winks from behind their mask. Sans, why yeah, that's me, I just moved here and opened up a grocery store. MCHM. So anyway, I'm new in town and hardly know anyone. Got any I should know better? After a bit of dialogue, D got a bit bored and decided to ask Sans straightforward. D, hey, you know me, don't you? Like from a dream or nightmare, but real, right? Sans visibly began to sweat a little, asking what D meant. Chris and Susie also seemed interested in what D would say. D, every Sans I've met, every Sans I fought and bested without killing. All of them had one thing in common. They all knew me, somewhere in the back of their minds every Sans knows things they shouldn't. And it all funnels back to two things, void magic and a use. Sans was sweating bullets at this point, there was some truth to what they were saying. Sans did know at least instinctively that D shouldn't be here in this world. But they didn't know why they knew, it was like trying to remember a dream, fuzzy and incomprehensible. Sans, okay, so you're not supposed to be here, right? D? D, I knew you knew my name, the moment you starting sweating I knew it. Chris, and more so Susie, were confused. Firstly, Chris seemed to be a bit fearful of something, almost like his actions before weren't his own while on his and Susie's adventure. Secondly, Susie was confused as to mostly everything going on, she couldn't help but think if only Ralsei were here to explain things. As D tried to explain things to the two of them, they were stuck with an intense pain. Thump. Suddenly their eye began to spark, flaring up a bit as they fell to their knees in pain. D, not again. Ugh. As D's eyes flared up more in intensity, Chris and Susie quickly moved to try and help, only to be stopped by a bone barricade created by Sans. Sans, no, don't. Stay back, something isn't right. As sudden as it came, it went. As the pain subsided, D gradually stood back up on shaking knees, panting heavily. As D calmed down, Sans removed the barricade and the two kids helped D back to their feet. Sans, kid, what was that? D, I don't know, it's been happening randomly ever since I pasted the last trial. Sans, trial? D, yeah, my soul was tearing itself apart or something, and I had to go through these trials to get back to reality. But when I did, it wasn't the reality I came from. Even since then, that has been happening randomly and getting worse. Sans, I think I get it, but to make sure. With that, Sans took hold of D's soul, looking at it closely, only to find it hollow. Sans, I knew it. Susie, okay, can someone explain what the heck is going on? Sans, his soul isn't here, their soul is back in their world while their consciousness is traveling to other worlds trying to get back to the right one. I've never seen anything like this before. D, but if you figured it out, surely my Sans will to right? Sans, probably, we Sans are pretty dang smart. Oh, and don't call me Shirley. D giggled a bit at that all too familiar humor, helping them to calm down a tiny bit. Susie, geez, don't giggle like that, it's way too girly, you're like half boy, right? Act like it. After a bit more talking, it was time for everyone to head home as it was starting to hit the later hours in the day. Sans invited Dee to stay over, though they tried to refuse at first, only to be talked into it not soon after. Walking into the house, Dee noticed it was the same, but also different, giving them an unusual feeling. Dee, where's Papyrus? Should I hide or what? Sans, why would you need to hide? I'm sure my bro would love to meet ya. Dee, still a bit shaky, sat down on the couch and fell asleep after a few moments. Sans, curious, gently moved Dee's mask over to get a look at their face. Looking at them, Sans couldn't help but be shocked, not only at their scars, but at their familiarity, as if they've met many times before. Fixing the mask, Sans went upstairs to check on things as Dee rested. A few hours later, Dee woke up to see a plate of food left out for them with a note. Note, I saw you sleeping and thought you could use a meal. You're truly Papyrus. Dee, I wonder how his food is. As Dee picked up the plate, he wondered if I could eat with the mask on, but thought that would be impossible. Moving the mask to eat, Dee noticed Sans watching him from the stairs. Dee, hi, everything okay? Sans, just wanted to see a reaction to my brother's cooking is all. He said with a small smirk, using the railing as an armrest. Dee shrugged it off before taking a bite, Sans watching in anticipation, only to have Dee not react whatsoever. Sans, what the? So whatcha think, kid? Dee said nothing as they ate, but after they were finished, they sat the plate down and answered. Dee, it wasn't too bad, was kinda good to be honest. Sans, I am glad you liked it, kid. How can he eat Pap's cooking like that? Just what has this kid been, though? Curious, but not wanting to pry, Sans went back upstairs to bed as Dee lay back down. In the morning, Sans thought of taking Dee to school but decided against it, as a random kid showing up would be weird. Sans decided to head over to the one person who may know something about this and headed to the bunker. As Sans got there, he let out a heavy sigh as he pounded on the big steel doors. Sans, hey, it's me, open up. After a few more rounds of knocking, Sans began to get annoyed as the door opened. Sans, took you long enough, we need to talk. With that, Sans entered the bunker, the big steel doors slamming shut. While Sans was hunting for answers, Chris and Susie were on the hunt for their own. Not knowing where to start, they first went to the library to research anything they could on Ayus. With no luck there, they tried asking around, all hints leading them to Alphys. Susie, hey teach, you know anything about Ayus? Alphys, oh, hey there. I didn't think I'd see you two hanging out after school. What's that about Ayus? Susie, do you know anything about them? Alphys, oh, a little. Ayus stands for alternate universe. There are in theory an unlimited amount of them. Why do you ask? Susie glanced over at Chris, not knowing what to say, who in turn glanced at her, then back to Alphys. Chris, if I said we fell into another world and met someone from an AU, what would you say? Alphys looked puzzled and thought for a bit. That could explain why they vanished and why they suddenly became friend. Though Alphys was still skeptical, wondering if they could prove it. Alphys, see, can you prove it? I'd love to met someone from another W world. Chris and Susie were hesitant, but thought maybe she could help, so they agreed to show her Dee. As the three of them headed to Sans' house, Sans himself was also heading that way. The four of them ended up meeting at the crossroads in town, Sans giving a friendly greeting. Sans, hey kiddos, and Alphys, what's going on? Susie, well, we wanted to help, and Alphys is one of the smartest people we know, so we thought. Sans, say no more, not a bad idea, though this may be above her head a bit. Then again, it could be above everyone's head. Sans lead them to the house, wondering if Alphys could help. So far, he couldn't get any answers either, so why not try? As they all entered Sans' house, they were met with Dee and Papyrus in the kitchen singing, humming, and cooking of all things. Susie, what? What is this? What are they doing? Sans, I have no idea. But it's strangely adorable? Chris, adorable is not the word I'd use, but okay. Alphys, it's like a slice of life anime IRL. Alphys' comment made everyone save the two in the kitchen to look at her. Afterward, Sans got the two's attention and they greeted them all by bringing out 4 plates of spaghetti. Sans, bro, you shouldn't have, thanks a lot. Papyrus, think nothing of it. Brother D was a huge help in the kitchen. They really know their way around pasta. D, it's nothing special, I just wrote with it. Sans laughed hard at D's pun as Papyrus growled a bit. Papyrus, D, what did we talk about? D, no pastable puns in the house? Sans couldn't help but laugh harder as he joined in. Sans, man, kid, you got me all geely. Heh, heh, heh. Papyrus, no more pasta puns. Susie, again, what am I seeing? After the puns were done, everyone sat down and started eating. Sans, this is. Susie, this is literally the best spaghetti I've ever eaten. When all was said and done, everyone had eaten about 4 plates apiece as they talked, joked, and laughed. Susie, man, that was great. Sans, yeah, but it's almost like the kid was expecting everyone to show up. Chris, you're right, how is that possible? Sans, I don't know. Alphys, well, let's ask them then. Sans, hey kid, why'd you cook all this food? D, oh, no reason really, I just wanted to help Papyrus learn to cook. He said he was self-taught, so I thought I'd see if I could teach him a bit. I guess we ended up going overboard though. Luckily you brought guests 'cause the fridge is full. Sans was awestruck, so they weren't expecting everyone to show up? They just got caught in the moment and overcooked? After dinner, everyone sat around discussing the theory of AUs, Alphys being particularly interested in the subject. Before late, the subject turned to unstable AUs, and how they could affect the other AUs. While Sans, Alphys, and D had their conversation, Chris and Susie were forced to leave due to their curfew. Susie, confused about everything, voiced her wish to ask Ralsei about the situation. Chris agreed as they went their separate ways home.